Change your food, change your life. Hey guys, Tim here, coming at you from Next Level Health. Guys, we are back with another episode today of Would I Eat This? And the product that we are going to be breaking down ingredient by ingredient is none other than Canada Dry Fruit Splash Cherry Ginger Ale, 0 sugar. Only 5 calories per can. Woo! So the question is, would I eat this? And as you guys know, if you've been following my channel, and if you have not been following my channel, make sure to hit that like, make sure to hit that subscribe down below so you don't miss any of my content. My focus on this channel is ingredients-based nutrition. We don't worry so much about the macros and the calories. Those are things that unfortunately society has taught you to care about, but is not something worth caring about. What we really need to look at is the ingredients. What are the things you're actually putting into your body and how that can hurt or help your body to achieve longevity, happiness, and a good quality of life. That's what we're gonna look into today. So let's jump in. Let's start off Canada Dry Fruit Splash. Now the first thing, before I get into the ingredients, you're gonna notice some marketing on here that's gonna get you excited and honestly shouldn't get you excited, and I'm gonna tell you why. So as you see, 0 sugar in big letters, big bold letters at the bottom to make sure you know that there is no sugar in this. Now guys, there's a movement in our society today towards no sugar, less sugar, etc. Now on the surface, this is a good movement. High amounts of sugar in our diet is not good. So great, it's a win-win all the way around. Unfortunately guys, it's not that simple. See, when it comes to something like this, the soda that says 0 sugar, you have to ask yourself, well, if there's no sugar in it, why would I drink it? What would make this enjoyable? If there's no sugar, isn't this just carbonated water? Couldn't I go buy a LaCroix or a bubbly and achieve the same effect? I mean, we drink soda because it tastes good, and it tastes good because there's sugar in it. What has been added to it so that I will drink it? Because obviously if this made it to the shelf of your grocery store, people are buying it, people are consuming it, and that is what we're gonna break down right now. So let's jump into it. First ingredient, carbonated water. Obviously guys, nothing wrong with carbonated water. I think we all know that. I personally love LaCroix and bubblies and different things like that. So carbonated water, that's a good thing. Now we have less than 2% of. So again, this is another good sign. It means that the ingredients listed after this are less than 2% of. So this is good, right? If you look at a label and it doesn't have less than 2% of, and it just says, you know, these 3 ingredients, then you know that most of this is those 3 ingredients. So we know with this that most of this is carbonated water. So first off, we have ginger extract. Nothing wrong with ginger extract. Ginger is great. I have ginger every day in some form. Typically for me, it's in my kombucha. The kombucha that I drink has a blend where they use ginger in the fermentation process. So I'm technically consuming some ginger every single day. Ginger is a natural antibiotic for the body. Very good for you. If you've had any nausea issues, you know that ginger is the way to go to cure those issues. So ginger is fantastic for you. Next up, we have cherry and lime juice concentrates. Again, nothing wrong with lime and cherry juice concentrates. The only question we have to ask ourselves when it comes to a concentrate or some element of a fruit or something is, how was that extracted from the fruit and put in the drink, right? You can't just take a lemon and squeeze lemon into the drink necessarily. That's not really how it works. Typically there's chemicals involved in extracting the purest form of concentrate to put into the drink, and sometimes the chemicals that they use to extract these concentrates are actually quite nasty, which we'll see in the ingredient here soon. So that is something to be aware of. Next up, natural flavors. We know that natural flavors aren't natural. Again, a lot of toxic chemicals are used to create a natural flavor. So that's not great. Strike one, essentially, right, so far. Next up, we have citric acid. Citric acid is pretty common. You'll see it in a lot of products, chips, stuff like that. It adds a salty, sweet tang to the product. It has been known to potentially cause some gut issues. It's also very hard on your teeth because it's acidic. Consume that with some caution. The other thing with citric acid is, and this is another thing how I talked about, you have the thing in the drink that they pulled from something. How did they pull it? Well guys, I was looking up citric acid the other day on how to make citric acid, how to get it out of what you need to put it into a drink, and you actually use sulfuric acid as part of the lab-like process of getting to just base citric acid. So that is not good, because then there's going to be some elements of that sulfuric acid within the citric acid, even in trace amounts. So again, that's what we look at. We have the thing, but how did they get the thing out of the thing? And what chemicals did they use to get that thing out of the thing? So citric acid, sodium citrate is actually basically the same thing as citric acid from my research. Next up, we have sodium benzoate and potassium sorbate. It says right on the label, preservatives. These are chemically made ingredients that help preserve this to not go bad. You know, the cherry, the lime, different things in there could go bad. This preserves it. And although that's great in terms of the shelf life of this product, you know, I could put this on the shelf, come back to it 10 years later, might still be drinkable based on these preservatives. But these preservatives are very unhealthy, especially for your gut bacteria, guys. They really hurt the gut microbiome in your stomach, the diversity of it. It really harms that. And guys, your gut bacteria is extremely, extremely important for your health. It's critical. It's why I personally drink kombucha every single day without fail, because I know how important my gut bacteria is to my immunity, my mental health, and my physical health. These preservatives harm your gut bacteria, which is going to hurt you a lot in the long run. So we don't like that. That is strike 2, big time on those preservatives. Next up, we have aspartame. Guys, aspartame is far and away the worst artificial sweetener you could consume. It is a known carcinogen, a known brain cell killer. It's one of those where I don't even have to, it's not even controversial. Look it up. Aspartame is terrible. Another artificial sweetener, which isn't as bad as aspartame, acesulfame potassium. But again, what we don't realize, guys, artificial sweeteners do in fact spike your blood sugar. Yes, they do. So just because you're having artificial sweeteners and you think, oh, it's not going to spike my blood sugar, well, it is going to spike your blood sugar. And maybe not as much as actual sugar, but it does. We also have to look into what do artificial sweeteners do to the cells in your body. Now, what artificial sweeteners do is they actually reduce your insulin sensitivity, okay? That means that your cells have a harder time pulling the insulin out of your bloodstream that's produced by your pancreas and pulling it into the cell to be able to use that glucose energy, make them more insulin resistant. When you start getting insulin resistant, that's what leads to diabetes, for example, because your body cannot pull, it takes so much insulin to pull into the cell to actually get it to work and use the glucose available to you, that the pancreas keeps having to pump out more and more and more insulin because you need more to get into the cell. Your cells are insulin resistant. They're rejecting that insulin. And that leads to diabetes, that leads to fat and weight gain, that leads to inflammation in the body. So guys, unfortunately, artificial sweeteners are not a get out of jail free card. They're something that I personally would try to avoid as much as possible, to be honest. In fact, I would actually rather consume sugar over artificial sweeteners in certain circumstances. For example, if I was going to go do something active, I would much rather have the natural sugar that, yes, will spike my blood sugar a little bit, but I'm gonna do an activity that I'm gonna use that glucose, I'm gonna put it to work. In those scenarios, I'm absolutely choosing a sugary beverage like a Pepsi over something like this, because that sugar is not gonna damage my cells and damage their insulin sensitivity. However, artificial sweeteners will do that. So because sugars are natural, they're normal part of your body's processing, and as long as they're not in excess, over time especially, then you're fine. Sugars are not a terrible thing, and hopefully you live an active lifestyle. Hopefully if you're following my channel, if you haven't already, make sure to hit that like and subscribe so you stay connected to my channel and all this information. Next up, we have Red 40. Red 40 is a food coloring to make it look red, obviously. This is partially banned in the EU. This recently actually became banned in California because it's a known carcinogen and is actually derived from petroleum. So I don't think I need to say anything more. Why would you consume something that's derived from petroleum? So guys, in looking through all the ingredients of this Canada Dry Fruit Splash, what would I rate it? Well, based on the ingredients I'm seeing, especially with Red 40, which is a known carcinogen, aspartame, which is a well-documented, terrible carcinogenic, as well as preservatives, which are going to harm your gut bacteria, this is actually going to get a 2.5 out of 10 rating. This is quite low and definitely on the lower end of the spectrum. Again, if they had, say, taken out the aspartame and put in stevia, you might get a full point increase on that to 3.5. If you were to remove the preservatives, that would be another point, or maybe even 2 increase for me on my list here. You take out the red 40, we could bump this thing all the way up to a 7 or an 8. But again, it probably wouldn't taste very good to you, would it? Right? If there's no artificial sweeteners to make this taste good, and like aspartame, etc., then, and you don't see the cool red color of the red 40, you're not going to drink this. You're going to go buy a LaCroix or a bubbly, because it's basically the same thing. So this is something I would pretty much almost never consume. Like, if it's me, I'd rather have a Pepsi. I'd rather have a Dr. Pepper. I'd rather have just a regular soda that day. So this is a pretty crappy product. Not even going to try it for you because I have tried it already, actually, and it tastes good because there's artificial sweeteners in it, but no need to consume it when I don't need to. So guys, that was my review of Canada Dry. Again, a 2.5 rating for that guy. Guys, as always, make sure to eat real, and I'll see you on the next one.